WTXM.org. This is Andrew Clendenin with the World of Texas Music on the web at WTXM.org. Today we're going to talk to Katie Dundas. Katie is a singer-songwriter, a pop singer-songwriter. She skydives and sings with a beautiful voice. Katie Dundas, welcome to the world of Texas music. Skydiving Katie Dundas. You've been skydiving lately. Tell us about it.
Oh, yes. It was quite an experience. I've always wanted to do it, but it took a couple years of thinking about it seriously to finally get to the point of being ready. But one of my older brothers, it's like one of his hobbies. He's done almost 200 solo jumps, so made it a little bit easier making that first jump myself. But it was incredible. It didn't feel real, honestly. But
Not real.
I would totally do it again.
So I have a question. Why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
My dad said the same thing. I don't know. I just wanted to have that experience, and I've been trying to kind of push myself to do things that scare me lately, and that was definitely one of them. So no regrets.
And you do it again?
I would do it again, honestly, because I feel like I don't even really remember what happened. It was just too quick to process, so I feel like I need to do it again.
Is there a comparison between skydiving and composing a song?
I think there's more of a comparison between skydiving and performing live for me.
Okay.
Same panic. Composing feels a lot more safe, natural, calm. So some similarities maybe.
Right. Your Instagram page label is music and foodie. We know you like music. Do you like to cook?
I do like to cook. Depends how much energy I have by the end of the night if I really want to put a lot of effort into it. But yeah, I would definitely consider myself a foodie. Love Mexican food. Big fan.
Everybody likes Mexican food.
Right.
Was music part of your family when you were growing up?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I think of my dad mostly. I mean, my mom played piano and she sang. She definitely was a big music lover herself, is a big music lover herself. But my dad and his twin brother, they had kind of like a duo act growing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my dad is the person who taught me guitar. And even now, I know almost every night my dad ends his night. My parents live in Houston. He ends his night on the couch with headphones on, listening to his favorite music. So I think that he feels the same way about music that I do. And so, yeah, I definitely think growing up, music was a big part of my family. And both my older brothers actually started to learn guitar before I did. My hands were too small to learn, apparently, but I was eager to start. And so finally, when I turned, I think like 11 or 12, my dad taught me a few chords on the guitar, and it just kind of took off from there. So
that was your first instrument?
Mm-hmm. I think actually I was in piano lessons when I was a little kid, and that I didn't really stick with it. But I wish I had now, because I try to play piano and it's not there. But I'd like to get there.
Everyone says that. I should have stuck with it.
I know.
Yeah. What was your first memory of music?
That's a tough one. I don't know if I have a first memory of music, but I definitely remember myself as a little kid, like standing on the edge of the fireplace, putting on performances for my parents. And I just always loved music, always wanted to make music. And I mean, growing up, I was obsessed with, like Britney Spears and Hilary Duff and all these female artists. So I don't have a first memory that comes to mind, but I just know that it was always a big part of my life growing up.
So you were playing guitar a lot after a certain age?
Yeah.
And were you composing then?
Mm-hmm. So pretty quickly after I learned to play guitar, I started writing music. I mean, even when I was younger, I loved creating stories. I think writing in general has always been a huge outlet for me. So, I think as a little kid, it was first writing short stories and then poems, and then matching that with loving to sing, and finally having, some guitar chords to kind of piece it all together. Songs just started happening. And so middle school through high school, I was writing a ton. It was just kind of flowing out of me. So I think that was when it really kind of, the creativity hit at its strongest. Now it's more of a, I love to do it just as much as I did then, but it's almost more of a discipline now, I think.
Sure.
I've had my fair share of writer's block, and so I know what it means to have to kind of push through it.
You've heard of St. Vincent, of course.
Yes.
She says take a nap.
I heard that, yes. I think I should try that.
Sure. So writer's block. Okay, time to take a nap.
Yep.
You want to do a song for us?
Yes.
Okay.
I would love to. I've been cheated time and time again, broken down with nothing left to give, cynical and sick of chances, rolling eyes at all romantics. I could not go back to where I'd been, so I could count the reasons I could run. But when you hold me, they amount to none. What I feel for you outweighs any pain of yesterday. Wouldn't change the past that I come from. 'Cause looking in your eyes is like looking in a mirror. Never in my life has somebody seen me clearer. Thankful every night that somebody knows me like you do. Well, I know it won't always be blue skies, yeah, and I'll carry you through all your darkest nights. Whatever may lie ahead, open roads and dead ends, with you I will take it all in stride. Looking in your eyes is like looking at tomorrow, and every day we get feels like time that has been borrowed. Thankful every night that my life has led me here to you. Na 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 na. Looking in your eyes, I can see it come together. All my broken hearts made a way for something better. Thankful every night that I get to love you like I do.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Extremely beautiful.
Thank you.
I can't believe you said a moment ago that it was hard for you to find your voice after you were playing.
Yeah.
As far as singing.
Right.
But
oh, gosh. Thank you.
You did find your voice.
Thank you.
Clearly. You've got great skills as a singer and songwriter. I really love your music. It's really creative.
Thank you.
Where do your creative impulses come from?
I think I'm a very emotional person, and I think growing up, for a lot of my life, that was something that I didn't like about myself. I think I thought that it made me weak, but I've come to love that about myself, because I think that's what gives me the ability to write songs, and writing
Sure.
songs is my favorite thing to do. So
Sure.
I think that is a really important piece of creativity. For me, it has to come from somewhere genuine. And that's why I struggled with writer's block for, some time, because it's hard for me to force myself to sit down and write a song. I think when I first started writing, I was 12, 13, up through even, 16, 17. I don't think I cared what anybody thought about it. And so it just came easily. And then, grew up a little, and this kind of perfectionist came out in me, and it cut the creativity short a lot of the time. And I had to learn how to let go of that and kind of start writing for myself again. So I think being emotional and kind of owning that and having somewhere to direct that is the biggest piece for me.
So it's kind of like skydiving. You've got to jump out the door, right?
Yes.
And so,
or someone's got to push you out.
Yeah, so
I wasn't going to push myself out. Thank goodness I was attached to someone.
So there's something happening when you go through this process, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And it seems like you've gone through that cycle of having these creative impulses and doing that, and then all of a sudden, I refer to it as the monkey is on your back. You think people are watching or listening, which they inevitably will,
right?
And that cuts you short. So how do you come to grips with this and deal with it and overcome it? Because obviously you're doing just what you said. You are writing.
Yeah.
Beautiful music.
Oh, thank you. I think after that, 5 or 6 year period of just writing, because I absolutely loved it and it just came so naturally, I hit that wall of really starting to criticize myself. I mean, I feel like I couldn't get 2 lines down on a piece of paper without thinking, that sounds stupid, or that's cliche, or, that doesn't make sense. I just couldn't get anything out. And it was just the self-criticism. And I honestly took a hiatus. I think my guitar was under my bed for like a year and a half. I don't know, I just couldn't do it. And I think eventually I just kind of had to come back to it in my own time. And like I said, remember why I started doing it in the first place. It was because I loved it and it was for me. And so I think not only that, but I've also, being younger, when it did come more naturally, once I hit that point where that wasn't happening, I felt kind of like a fraud, like imposter syndrome. I was like, how can I call myself a songwriter? I can't get anything down on paper.
Right.
But I think I've accepted that that's also a part of songwriting, is accepting that writer's block happens and pushing past it, and, being okay with spending a couple of hours trying to write something down. And if I walk away with a few lines or a melody, that has to be enough. And I have to let the songs kind of finish on their timeline, if that makes sense.
Sure. Oh, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah. So it's both parts discipline and just like allowing myself to be creative and say what I want to say.
That moment after that year and a half or so, do you remember that moment when you actually said, okay, I'm going to do this, and what caused that to come about? Yeah.
I think music was a big part of my identity. I think it always has been. And I think spending some time, even when I wasn't writing, like I was still singing in my car every day, and listening to music, anytime that I could. So it's not like I just stepped away from music. I think I felt inadequate. And then I think even coming around to the idea of writing again and releasing music was scary, but I knew I was going to do it either way. Okay. And so might as well do it now.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
So the discipline kicked in. You said, it's time to move.
Yeah.
Music is really mysterious because it's invisible. It can't be touched or smelled or tasted or seen. It can only be heard. Have you ever thought about music in that way?
A little bit. I think about songwriting that way sometimes. Just how you can start with nothing, and then however long later, you have this finished product. But I think it's definitely like that. And it's crazy because you're right. It's not necessarily tangible, but it's incredibly moving. And I think it is the universal language.
You bet.
So it's pretty crazy.
when we listen to music, it can take us to another place, and it connects us, all of us. So what do you think is going on between the listener and the sound of the music?
I think it's totally personal. I think you can write a song or record a song and have every intention for it to come across a certain way. But I think listening is totally unique to every person. And I think, people get to take away from a song what they need from it. That sounds really
tell us more
cheesy,
about that.
But
no,
so I volunteer for an amazing organization called Musicians on Call, and I actually heard about it in a podcast episode featuring Rachel Platten, who's a awesome singer-songwriter. So this organization, basically, once a month I go to Children's Medical or UT Southwestern and play room to room for patients.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it's such a cool experience every time. But I think that's a perfect example of, it's not like you're singing to a room full of people. It's really intimate, and you just hope that person can take something away from it. And I think the lyrics in the song itself, it might resonate, it might not, but the person just kind of has their own experience with it.
With the music itself.
Right.
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of emotion in music, and your voice is packed with emotion. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You've also mentioned that music is your therapy. You've also stated that you would like to provide the same thing for others. What did you mean by that? You kind of touched on that.
Yeah. I feel like I've had this feeling over and over and over again throughout my life where you just hear a song and that artist or singer said what you needed to say so perfectly, and it's just the best feeling. And it's like, yes, it's closure. I don't know, but when I can write that either for myself or, hopefully to give someone else that same feeling, that's just the best feeling in the world. Because I think it's hard to articulate emotions and feelings sometimes. So, when someone else can kind of help you do that, and so many different songs and artists have done that for me, I just think it's the best.
You mentioned the word therapy. Sometimes that means heal. So would you use that?
Absolutely.
Word? Good.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's a powerful thing, music, even though it's invisible.
Right. The irony.
Quite so. You've also described your music using the words empower and enlighten. It's clear that you aim to touch people through your art. How do you think your music does that? We talked a little bit about that, but tell us more.
Yeah. I think that as humans, we all go through so many of the same experiences in life, whether it's heartbreak or love, first love or loss, grief. And I think we're getting really hippy-dippy here, but I really think that's the purpose of life, is human connection and being open about those experiences. And so I think if I can take mine and kind of put it into words and turn it into a song, and share that with others, and to know that other people can relate, I think that's healing. I think that's empowering. I think, like I said, giving a voice to those emotions and, being able to kind of claim them, I think that's empowering.
When you do this, you kind of put yourself out there. So you're really exposing yourself and revealing a lot of yourself through the music. And it sounds like you've kind of figured out a way to do that. Did that take you a long time to actually get to that point?
I think so. I think on the one hand, I've always kind of been an open book. I'm not always one for small talk. I love the more intimate conversations. But also, it's definitely scary. I mean, I have one song that I've teased, but I haven't released yet, and it's called Peace of Mind. And it's probably one of my most honest songs, and it's just about the ways that I've struggled with anxiety and just kind of overwhelm with life. And so being that honest about, I think especially today in the world that we live in, everybody says that social media is your highlight reel, right? Like everybody is showing
sure.
the peaks of their life. And so it's kind of weird to put something out there that says, hey, actually, I'm feeling the opposite, you know, at this point in my life. But I think that's what people need, is the honesty.
They need to hear it. Yeah, of course.
I need it from other people.
We all need it.
Right.
There's a lot of non-honesty going around. Always has been, but it seems like it's amplified.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some titles of some of your songs that you've written. Now, all these songs that we're going to talk about are single word. So you want to play a little word game here?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to say the title, and I'm going to give a definition, and you can respond.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Enemy, fairly hostile.
Oh, man. You know, it's funny because I am definitely not a vengeful person. I think with Enemy came with some real life experiences, but I almost got to play into this theatrical kind of persona of this kind of like revenge perspective, even though that's totally not necessarily how I feel. But it was kind of fun to kind of flip that situation into a song.
So you intentionally did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when I put that song out, my dad, was sharing it with people, and he would preface it with, what is it? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorn. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, Enemy.
So that was what you were kind of feeling there.
Yeah.
Okay. Quicksand, dangerous and hard to escape.
Yes. I think that's life sometimes.
Yeah.
Quicksand is about just kind of the chaos of life and that one person who can kind of like pull you back to center and slow you down. So yeah, I think that's fitting.
It's a good title.
Thank you.
Mirror, which you just performed, beautiful song. A reflective surface.
Yes. Yeah, I think whether it's a significant other or a close friend or a parent even, I think when someone knows you so deeply, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And I mean, it's a scary but amazing thing to be known and to be loved, like not in spite of things, but because of who you are. So yeah, I think Mirror is about a reflection of that.
And what caused you to write that song?
Well, I think it's about vulnerability. I think I've definitely been burned in past relationships. And so I think that's, a little risky for anyone to kind of take that chance again. But not only to take that chance again, but then to find it and to, like I said, to be kind of like seen and accepted.
Right.
It's a gift of life. That sounds so cheesy.
No, that's not cheesy at all. It is a gift.
Yeah.
The picture for your single entitled Mirror, which we've sung and talked about, is really interesting. Tell us how you chose that image. So let's describe it, because obviously nobody can see it right now. It's black and white. Okay, go ahead.
So it's actually a screenshot taken from a video.
Okay.
It's my boyfriend and I. We were in San Diego, and I don't know. We always just do this thing where I like spin in and he dips me. And we took a little video of it. We were like on this pier, and I just had that video on my phone. That was back in February.
Right.
So I just took a screenshot of it, and I kind of flipped it around, and I just thought it looked cool.
It is cool. It looks like you're falling.
Right. It kind of does. Skydiving.
Yeah, I thought so. And I thought, wow.
Yeah.
What a shot. We talked about this a little bit, but I think of songwriting as a process. How do you approach writing a song? How do you actually start the process of writing a song?
Yeah, it varies. So there have been times where I've just been driving and a melody pops into my head, and I'll, grab my voice memo and just kind of try to record it, get it down, and I might revisit it later. Or sometimes I might start with lyrics.
Right.
Maybe there's a line that's been in my head that I just feel like is kind of catchy. It definitely varies. Sometimes like Enemy, I wrote really quickly. I wrote it probably in like 30 minutes, but Mirror I came back to over months and months.
Right.
So, and again, that goes back to having to accept that that's part of the process. Is they're not always going to come easily. But yeah, it definitely varies. And then I have to mention my amazing producer that I've been so lucky to work with for years now. His name is Steven Burciaga, and he produced Mirror, Quicksand, and Enemy.
All three. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so he's a big part of my songwriting as well, because occasionally he'll just send me things that he's been working on, and then I'll see what kind of sparks from there. But he's been amazing to work with.
That's great. You send your music to him in a kind of a demo form, and
right.
then how does that work between you?
So Quicksand, for example, started with him. I mean, we were having kind of a writing session in Houston, and he was kind of going through some different sounds, and that first sound that you hear when Quicksand starts was playing, and it just kind of spiraled from there.
Right.
But other times, like with Enemy, I wrote Enemy to guitar and then sent it to him, and then we kind of built off of it. And then actually Mirror is a funny story, because I had been thinking about these lyrics for a few weeks, and because I don't play piano and I don't really read music, it's like a fun game for Steven and I, me trying to tell him what I'm hearing in my head and him trying to find it on the piano for me.
Stump the producer.
Yes,
yeah.
Right. Favorite game. He loves it too. But no, I had these lyrics in my head for a while, and I knew exactly what chord progression I wanted for the piano. But I hadn't told Steven yet. And then one night we were having a call on FaceTime. He lives in Houston, so long distance producing songwriting relationship. And he was like, hey, I have something I've been working on that I want to show you. And so he just started going through this piano, chord progression he'd been working on. And it was exactly what I had in my head.
Oh, wow.
So kind of a crazy, coincidence. It worked
Collision.
out, let's just say. Yeah, that was crazy.
So sounds like the music is their synth basis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, was working through Ableton or Fruity Loops or whatever. So is that difficult for you to cross that? Are you Ableton sophisticated? Are you working with Ableton?
So I don't produce myself.
Okay.
I do have... It's kind of like I said, I feel like I know what I want something to sound like in my head.
Right.
The hard part is articulating it. And then a lot of times, I mean, what Steven is amazing at is finding the detail, like the small details that really lift the song and kind of fill it out. He's got a gift for that. But I feel like I can have an appreciation for a really raw, acoustic or a piano and just vocals, like stripped down.
Right.
But I also love a good fully produced pop song.
Sure.
So Steven has kind of been able to come make some of those pop dreams come true for me. So I'm lucky to have him to work with.
Sure. So he's the soundboard, I guess,
yes.
if you will.
Yes.
Do you think you would explore Ableton and learn a little bit more about that type software?
I would love to. I think in some ways I've kind of hit a plateau. I mean, I'm trying to learn piano, and, I only know so many chords on the guitar.
Right.
I feel like my songwriting itself is kind of hit a plateau. So I would love to learn just to be able to kind of like open up a whole new avenue of writing. And I think that would be so much fun to explore.
Sure. There's definitely a feedback between the instrument, or now software, and the person that's actually trying to do something with that software, the instrument.
Yeah.
So that's what you're referencing.
Correct.
So the more you learn, the more capable you're probably going to be becoming.
Right. The more I can create.
That's what it's all about. So what future projects are you planning?
Great question. My plan initially was to create an EP. Been working on 7 or 8 songs this year, and I've put out 2 of them since I think September. But I've kind of been going back and forth with pursuing being an artist or a songwriter, because I feel like a lot of times I have had this feeling of kind of being put in one box.
Right.
with pursuing being an artist. I feel like part of that is kind of branding yourself and marketing yourself. It's a big part of it, right? It is a business. And over the years, I've had such a hard time nailing down exactly what my sound is. And so I think, with what I love about songwriting is being able to not put myself in a box.
Right.
And so the possibility of being able to write for other artists is something I absolutely want to explore. I do plan to continue releasing some songs, as myself, but I also hope to pursue songwriting for other artists as well.
Right.
So that's kind of what's on my radar for 2020.
So an album is not really...
You know what? An album is coming one day. I'll tell you. It's been on my bucket list since I was a little kid. I don't know if it's coming next year, but I will absolutely put out a full-length album one day. I'm going to speak it into the world.
Sooner, not later, I hope.
Yeah, that would be great.
You have one video on the internet. Tell us about that.
One video?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Music video.
Is it the one?
Simple Smile.
No.
Yes.
Oh, no. I was afraid you would bring this up. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Simple Smile. What a song. Wrote that one, I think, in 8th grade.
Right.
Recorded it at a small studio in Houston. And then one of my best friends recorded the video for me. I think her little sister is actually in the video with me. So that's hilarious. Yeah, I don't have access to that YouTube channel, so I can't take it down even if I wanted to, but I think it's kind of great. Like,
it's a good video.
Right. It shows my timeline of progress.
And well produced.
Yeah, it's nostalgic.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad it's up.
Thank you.
So last question, and you've kind of referenced this and kind of gone around it back and forth. Would you like to be a pop star?
I ask myself that. Okay, so there should be an easy answer to this. I think yes and no.
Okay.
I think I see, I've seen so many concerts where I'm just like, gosh, how incredible would it be to be up there? Everything that goes with it, I don't know if I have it in me. But man, would I love to do a show in Madison Square Garden? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would.
Okay. I think that's the answer.
Okay, we'll go with it.
What song would you like to take us out on?
I think we will take everyone out with Quicksand.
Katie Dundas, thank you so much for being a part of the world of Texas music.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Feels like everybody's moving at full speed, but they're set on cruising. I feel like I'm on a tightrope, so swayed by people I don't know. They call for a quick decision, and they all offer their opinion, and I feel like I'm stuck in quicksand, held down by the touch of a stranger's hand. And I know everyone can't be pleased, and the one who's left empty is me. I know I should take time to breathe. You slow me down, you calm my doubts, keep me here and now. Some days I feel like I'm drowning, waves of worry all around me, and somehow I keep my head above it, and you're there to pull me out of it, and I can feel the pressure on me, but when I got your arms around me, I know I'm right where I should be. You slow me down, you calm my doubts,
This is Andrew Clendenin with the World of Texas Music. On the web at WTXM.org. Come visit us there. We'll respond to emails from you. We'd like your comments. Thanks for listening.